This is Usha Sachdeva. Today we will learn about chapter Political Parties of class 10. First of all, we will learn about the meaning of political party. A political party is a group of people who come together to contest elections and hold power in the government. They agree on some policies and programs for the society with a view to promote the collective good. Parties reflect fundamental political divisions in a society. A party has three major components. First, the leaders, active members, and followers. Political parties perform various functions, or we can say that they do a lot of work for the welfare of the nation. So before getting into power, they have to perform some functions, and once after they are in the power, after that also they perform a lot of functions. The first function performed by a political party is to contest election by putting up a candidate. As we know that whenever election takes place, every party has to put a candidate in front of the people who will contest the elections. The second most important function of a political party is to frame policies and programs to attract general public. When a party contests election, certainly they have to put some policies and programs in front of the public so that the public may feel to give their vote to the candidate. Political parties put forward different policies and programs so that the voters can choose from them. A political party brings a large number of similar opinions under one umbrella. These opinions are channelized to form policies and programs. The policy and programs of the ruling party are expected to be followed by the government. The third function of the political party is to make laws. It is one of the very important functions. Political parties play a decisive role in making laws for the country. You may be aware that it is the legislature which passes a law after proper debate, as most of the members belong to political parties. So, a political party has direct say in lawmaking of the country. The fourth function of the political party is to form and run the government. As we have seen, the parties contest the election. After that, certainly, if the party wins the election, they form and run the government. The fifth function of the political party is to play the role of opposition when not in majority. As we have seen that the parties contest election, and if they win, they form and run the government. In case if they are not able to win the election, then they certainly play the role of opposition when they are not in majority. The next function of the political party is to shape public opinion. Political parties shape public opinion. They do so by raising and highlighting issues in the legislature and in the media, so that people can understand what is happening around them and is that right or wrong. When the political parties put their views, people can make their own views on that particular issue. The last function of the political party is to access to government machinery and welfare schemes. Political parties provide people access to government machinery and welfare schemes. It is easy to approach local leaders than government officers. Now we have to understand what are the different type of party system existing in the world. We will be talking about one-party system, two-party system, and multi-party system. one party system. In this system, there is only one party which is allowed to control and run the government. For example, Communist Party in China, then next two-party system. In this, power is usually changes between two main parties. Other parties may exist, contest election and win only a few seats. USA and UK are the best examples of two-party system. Multi-party system. More than two parties exist in this kind of system. If several parties compete for the power and more than two parties have reasonable chance of winning, we call it a multi-party system. In India, we have multi-party system. Sometimes a single party is not able to form the government. In that case, a coalition government is formed. And nowadays, there is a concept of alliance system also, where some parties make arrangements before the election, that is known as alliance system. And when parties form government with the help of some other parties, that is known as coalition government. India is the best example for multi-party system. Now, if we talk about which system is best among these, then moreover people say multi-party system is best, or some people say two-party system is best. But no party system can be called as best. It varies over space and time. But certainly we can say that one-party system is not a good idea, because here all people of the country are not able to present themselves in the election. But these two systems can be called as good, can be called not suitable for so and so country. So we will say that none of the party system is best. It varies over space and time that which party system will be suitable for so and so country. Kind of political party. As before this, I told you about the party system which exists in the world. Now we are talking about the party system in India. In India, we have parties as national political party and state or regional political party. Let's understand the difference between a national political party and a state or regional political party. We will discuss about the criteria which make a party as national political party. So, the most important criteria are, they are country-wide parties having their units in several states. They follow almost same policies and programs which are followed at the national level. Here we will see these are present in only one of the federal units. State parties have their own policies and programs and strategies which are followed at state or regional level only. Now, the major and the important criteria or condition which makes a party national party. A party that secures at least 6% of total votes in Lok Sabha or Assembly election in 4 states and wins at least 4 seats in Lok Sabha. That is recognized as a national party. There are 7 national parties in India. A party that secures at least 6% of total votes in an election to legislature assembly and wins at least 2 seats is recognized as state party. There are almost 750 political parties in India, but very few parties are there which are consistent and putting their policies and programs in front of the public. Now, let's talk about the challenges to political parties. As we have seen the functions, meaning, types, now we are going to talk about challenges to political parties. The first and the most important challenge is lack of internal democracy. Number 2 is dynastic succession. Number 3, lack of meaningful choice. And the fourth is growing role of money and muscle power. Lack of internal democracy. As the term itself says, lack of internal democracy. It means the parties themselves are not following democratic system. Parties do not keep the membership register. Parties do not hold organizational meetings. Parties do not conduct internal elections regularly. Ordinary members do not have sufficient information about the party. All powers get centralized among the top leaders of the party. The next problem faced by political party is dynastic succession, or we may call it as the challenge faced by political parties. Dynastic succession is the second challenge faced by political parties. Those who happen to be the leaders are in a position of unfair advantage to favor people close to them or even their family members. This problem we can see in our Indian democracy very commonly. There are some families which give higher positions to their family members. Now the next challenge is lack of meaningful choice. In order to offer meaningful choice to the voters, parties must be significantly different. It means that the parties should have a different policy and programs so that may convince the people to give them the vote. Nowadays, moreover, parties have similar policies and programs, so people have very less meaningful choice from which they should choose. The last but not the least is growing role of money and muscle power. As we have noticed, there are many incidents where we hear about that in so and so place election have been influenced by money and muscle power. The parties tend to nominate those candidates who have or can raise lots of money. In some cases, parties support criminals also. Reforms introduced and suggestion. As we have seen and discussed various challenges of political parties. Now we have to see what steps are taken by the government and what can we do as an individual or what can be done to reform the political parties. If a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he is obliged to do so. These are the lines told by Thomas Jefferson. People should not be afraid of their government. Governments should be afraid of their people. It means the government is for the people, by the people, to the people. So certainly all laws should be reformed. Let's talk about the efforts taken by the Indian government to make some reforms in the political parties. The first reform is Anti-Defection Law. Before we understand Anti-Defection Law, we must understand what is defection. There were some cases where some political leaders used to change their parties after winning the election. Like suppose one member contested the election from BJP, but in his tenure of 5 years, in between he changes his party to some other party. To stop this practice, the government has enacted a law known as Anti-Defection Law. As per this law, the Constitution prevents the elected members from changing party. This was done because many elected representatives were indulging in defection in order to become minister for cash rewards. Now, the second legal measure taken by the Indian government is affidavit. The Supreme Court of India has passed an order to reduce the influence of money and criminals. Now, it is mandatory for every candidate who contests election to file affidavit giving details of his property and criminal cases pending against him. As an voter, we can see the details of the people whom are we giving vote, and we must be aware citizen, must check the details of the person whom are we going to give the vote. The third reform made by the government is mandatory organizational meetings. The Election Commission has passed an order making it necessary for political parties to hold their organizational election and file their income tax return. A law should be made to regulate the internal affairs of political parties. So these were the legal measures taken by the government of India. Now let's talk about what else can be done to reform the political parties. So here are some suggestions. The first way to reform political party is that the laws to regulate internal affairs. There should be some laws which may regulate the internal affairs. As I told you earlier also that there are some party who do not follow the norms which they should follow. The second suggestion is that there should be a reservation of seats for women so that they may also get an equal opportunity to be the part of political parties and to be chosen as the candidate in the election. The third point is state funding of election. As I told you about the challenge, money and muscle power. The parties need a lot of money during the campaigning. So many a times they choose the people, they choose the candidate who are financially strong. To avoid that problem, the state should follow the policy of state funding. In that, the political parties can be given some amount so that they may bear the expenses required during elections. The fourth reform is voluntary wins. As a citizen, it is our duty also to contribute during election. As a citizen, we may pressure the political parties. It means that we may be active members, and if a law which is wrong or if political parties are following or doing anything wrong, we may put the pressure by protesting, by campaigning, by demonstrating so that they need to change it. Or the most important, we must join the political parties. Nowadays, it is seen that the intellectual people are not willing to join political parties. But the changes are not easy. So if we want to reform the society, we must join the political parties, be the active members and leaders of tomorrow. This is all about the chapter which we studied today, that is political parties in India. Thank you.